Yeah. Gita? Yeah. You want to bring Bhagavad Gita? Please.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
15 minutes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
We won't speak too long this evening because it's already late. But let's take one verse from the Gita and a short part of Srila Prabhupada's purport and see how it relates to our life. English is okay, everyone? It's okay? So this is the Sanskrit. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava prachami tvam dharma shamuda chetaha yachayashan nishchitam bruhitan me shishyaste hamsadhimam tvam prapannam. Want to try? Everyone. It's a famous verse, many may know it. You can repeat line by line after me. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava Prachami tvam dharma shamuda chetaha. Yachreyashan nishchitam bruhitan me. Yachreyashan nishchitam bruhitan me. Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam. Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is Arjun speaking to Krishna. Arjun in the first chapter of the Gita expresses to Krishna all of his confusion, all of his distress, all of his inability to make a decision as to what he's supposed to do in life. And at the beginning of the second chapter, Arjun makes the best decision he could make in the entire Bhagavad Gita, which is that he comes to Krishna and he says, I need help. So the beginning of spiritual life is when we realize we need help. And that's exactly what Srila Prabhupada explains as he commentates on this verse. So I'll read the first bit of Srila Prabhupada's purport because it's a long purport and we'll focus on that. So this is Srila Prabhupada's purport. By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. Enter COVID-19. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities but one should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Once Srila Prabhupada was driving to one place and he got stuck in a traffic jam. As he got stuck in a traffic jam, he looked out of the window and the devotee next to him also looked out of the window and there was a sign. And the sign said, roadworks, temporary inconvenience, permanent solutions. So when Srila Prabhupada saw that sign, he began laughing and he said, material world means temporary solutions, permanent inconvenience. Whatever we may do in this world to try and solve our perplexities from a material point of view always fail. There is always some kind of crisis in life, either a financial crisis, if not that, a relationship crisis, if not that, a health crisis, if not that, a world crisis, pandemic, and if not that, some other thing always comes up. I don't know if you've ever seen, but sometimes children, they have this game where they have like a hammer and they have to try to hammer everything down. Yeah. But as soon as they hammer one thing, another thing comes up. And they don't realize that underneath is all connected. So as soon as you try, you may try as much as you want, but something always comes up. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says this material world is a source of perplexity. And the only way out is to approach a spiritual teacher. Because most people think they can make a comfortable situation in this world. But when you go to a spiritual teacher, they tell you actually the point is you're supposed to get out of this world. They once did a survey and they asked people, what do you do to relax? Okay, so I want you to think about this just for a second. They asked people, everyone in the world is stressed, they have anxiety on their mind. What are the top things that you do in your life to relax? Now, not devotees, just general people. What do you think were the top 4 answers? What do people do to relax?
Drink.
Drink. Very good. Well, not very good. Yes, intoxication, one of them. Good. What were the other 3?
Holiday.
Sleep. Very good. Holiday. 3. Wow, you guys have tried all of these. Yeah, so these: intoxication, sleep, holiday, one more.
Eat. Cinema.
Cinema, yes, right. Watching TV or cinema. Okay? These were the 4 top answers. Now I'm going to say them again, and I want you to think about what all of them have in common. These are the 4 top ways in which people relax in the world. They go to sleep, they go on holiday, they take intoxication, and they watch TV or a movie. Now, what do those 4 activities all have in common?
They're all avoidance.
They're all avoidance. They're all an escape. They're all an attempt to escape the reality of this life, isn't it? When you go to sleep, you forget about your life. When you go on holiday, you forget about what's going on at home. When you take intoxication, your consciousness is so covered that you don't remember what was going on in real life. And when you watch a movie, you enter into someone else's world, so you forget about your world. Isn't it interesting that what people are doing to relax in this world is basically they're trying to escape this world? But what happens when you watch a movie? After some time, the movie finishes. If it's a Hollywood movie, 2 hours. If it's a Bollywood movie, 3 hours. But whatever it may be, the movie ends and you're straight back to your life again. How long can you sleep for? When I was a student, I used to sleep like 13 hours, 14 hours. How much can you sleep? At one point you have to wake up. Yes, you can take intoxication, but then the next morning you're right back in the real world again. And you can go on holiday, but then ultimately you have to come back. There was an English writer once, a Christian writer, C.S. Lewis. You may have heard the name, C.S. Lewis. Made a very interesting statement. If I find in myself a desire which no experience of this world can fulfill, then I must conclude I was made of another world. Interesting, isn't it? We have the desire to experience unending peace, unending fulfillment, unending happiness. Cynical atheistic people will say, that's the fairy tale. That's a fairy tale. That doesn't exist in reality. But think about it for 1 second. How can such a universal desire which exists in every single living entity to want eternal peace and happiness, how can you call it an illusion? It's only an illusion because you're trying to find it in the wrong place. People are looking for the right thing, but they're looking in the wrong place. Imagine I was walking down a road, a dark road, and I dropped my keys, my car keys. And then what I do is I walk 100 meters down the road where there's a lamppost and a light. And then I start looking under the lamppost. Someone comes to me and says, what are you doing? I say, I'm looking for my keys. Well, where did you drop them? I think I dropped them down the other side of the road. Well, if you drop them on the other side of the road, why in the world are you looking under the lamppost? I said, but there's no light there. Well, there may not be any light there, but you're definitely not going to find it here because this is not where you dropped it. The world is like this lamppost. It lights up, find happiness here, find happiness here. But actually, we drop the happiness somewhere else. The only person who can reveal this to us is a spiritual teacher. The only individuals who can reveal this to us are individuals who are experiencing it, individuals who have entered that reality, individuals who are living in that reality. Most people nowadays don't want to approach a spiritual teacher. They say spirituality is within me. I don't need to get it from anyone else. It's not something I need to learn. It's already within me. While that's true, because we've become so much covered by layers of illusion, we require someone to give us the guidance and the practice and the tools and the wisdom by which we can overcome the illusion that has overcome us and thereby reawaken our spirituality. So, the fortune of coming in contact with a genuine spiritual teacher and genuine spiritual teachings is a fortune that may take lifetimes. In one of our ancient books, there's a verse, Brahmande Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. That we are all spirit souls But for many, many lifetimes, we've been circling the universes in different species, in different situations of life, unaware of who we are, what we are, and where we're supposed to find happiness. And if we somehow or other become very, very fortunate, then we get connected with genuine spiritual teachings whereby we can uncover our true nature. So, when we talk about the Bhagavad Gita, when we talk about spiritual teachings, we're not really talking about a religion here as such. We're talking about what they call in Sanskrit Sanatan Dharma, which means the very eternal essence of every soul. These are not religious teachings. These are teachings which help everyone to awaken the very essence of their being. And therefore, this is more than a religion. It's more than a theology. It's a science, but it's even more than that. It's actually the teachings which help us to awaken who we really are and what we really seek. So, Arjuna in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita turns to Krishna and says, I need help. And that humility is the beginning of knowledge. A proud person can never learn. If we think I know it, if we think I don't need help, then we will never be able to learn. In English, in the English kind of colloquial language, if someone is proud, they say, oh, that person, he's full of it. I don't know if they say like that in France. So in English, they say like that. If a person is proud, they say he's full of it. And full of it means so much is there that there's no space for anything new to go in. Because pride blocks our ability to progress. So Arjuna's exhibition of humility and realization that I need help is the beginning of spiritual life. And so if we develop this humility, this humbleness, then the spiritual path is open. And through that humility, one can learn many, many things. If they encounter a teacher who is actually bona fide. And I'll end on this point. How do you know who is actually a spiritual teacher? And you could sum it up like this. A real guru is one who knows the way, one who goes the way, and one who can show you the way. There are some people who know the way, but they don't necessarily go that way. They don't necessarily practice it. So not only does a teacher have to know it, but they also have to live it. And not only do they have to know it and live it, but they have to be able to explain it to you in such a way that you can know it and you can also live it. And maybe on another day we can look a little bit closely at Srila Prabhupada's life and see how he was the perfect spiritual teacher. Because he knew the way, he went the way perfectly in his own life, and he was able to share that spiritual path with the whole world in such a way that anyone from any background could practice it. And that's why Srila Prabhupada as a teacher is unique and is outstanding and extraordinary. Amongst all gurus, Srila Prabhupada stands out as someone who really was able to deliver these teachings in the most relevant and powerful way. And therefore, it is all of our great fortune. We're all sitting in this room because of Srila Prabhupada. And all of us in this room have that great opportunity to connect to his teachings. So just as Arjuna approaches Krishna and in that mood of humility asks for help, if we similarly approach Srila Prabhupada in the same way, then we can get the same benefit. Hare Krishna. So just some thoughts. I don't know if anyone has any comments, questions, or maybe you have some reflections.
What if you are born with pride? Can you get away with it, or can you purify it, or eventually, or is it just with you for the rest of your life? Or?
Thank you for asking. The fact even someone who acknowledges that they have pride means they have some humility. Otherwise you would not be able to even acknowledge that you have pride. So that in itself is already an exhibition that you have humility. I'll say a few things on this. The first thing is that we all have pride, but we all have some humility as well. We all have anger, but we all have some tolerance as well. We all have envy, but we all have some appreciation as well. So are you going to feed the good dog or the bad dog?
That's the question.
Whichever one you feed is the one which will bark louder. So within each one of us there is saintliness and there is unsaintliness. There is a divine and there is a demoniac. Like now, sometimes we're speaking and flowers are coming out, but then every now and again, a frog comes out. Right? So that's our nature. So, of course we can change, because it's not our nature to be proud. That is just a bad quality that we've picked up along the way.
It's not my phone, sorry.
Well, that was an online question. So yes, you can overcome it. You can overcome it. And therefore in the Bhagavatam there's a famous verse, Shrinvatam svakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana vidyantasto hiya vidunauti suratsatam. That if you lend your ears to hearing, constant, concentrated, attentive, absorbed hearing of the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, then Ridyantasto hiya bhadrani, everything inauspicious within the heart is destroyed.
I was wondering, like being in Krishna consciousness and like following the principles and chanting, but is it like a master, what do you call it? Master teaching? No. Yeah. The teacher, master, I don't know what to call it, the guru.
Spiritual master.
Spiritual master,
yeah.
sorry. But without the spiritual master, is it like...
Can you still make progress?
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is what I want to ask.
Thank you, very nice question. There are different types of spiritual master. One type of spiritual master in Sanskrit is known as Diksha Guru, which means a spiritual master that you take a formal initiation from, a formal commitment. At that time you get a new name, you make vows and so on and so forth. But there are other types of spiritual master. There is something called a Shiksha Guru, which is a spiritual teacher who helps you. Someone who's maybe a little further along the path than you, who gives you advice. And they can also help you. So, in one's life, one can actually have many spiritual teachers. And even if one hasn't taken a formal initiation, if they have many other spiritual people around them who they're taking guidance from, they can still make great advancement. And then at one point in your life, when you feel you would like to make a bigger commitment, then you can make that commitment to a initiating spiritual master and make further progress. But it's not that until you make that commitment, you're not making progress. You are making progress. By reading these books, by following the advice of great teachers over the ages. You have already accepted them as a spiritual teacher, maybe not formally, but in your heart you have, and therefore you can still make progress.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Doesn't have to be a question, you can share your reflection if you have something.
You're talking about how you could hear, you quoted that verse, Shrunata Swakata Krishna. Sometimes we kind of, we ask devotees, oh, you're not going to the Bhagavatam class, oh, the speaker again, you know what I mean? This kind of, it's living in a temple means I think we get familiar with each other. I don't know how we have what we have, I don't know how we can kind of inspire devotees, or maybe how devotees should see the speaker as well. Maybe you can guide us a little bit on that, please.
Well, what time is DT greetings here?
7:30.
7:30. So every morning at 7:30 the curtains open and everyone comes, right, to see Govinda Madhava, Krishna Balaram, Shishi Gauranitai.
By 8 o'clock everyone is kind of like escaping in the door.
Yeah. But no one is asking before 7:30 who dressed the deities today. Who dressed the deities? Oh, Lochanananda dressed, then I won't come.
That's for sure.
Or this person dressed, then I won't come. No one asks. Because it's not who dressed the deity. The deity is transcendental.
Yeah.
The pujari is just assisting. For whatever the limitations of the pujari may be, the point is Krishna is beautiful. So similarly, the Bhagavatam is beautiful. The Bhagavatam is Krishna. Krishna says, or the Bhagavatam says, Krishna svadham upagate dharma gnana divisaha kalau nastadrisham esha puranar kodimodita. That when Krishna left this world, then there was so much inauspiciousness and so much that left with him. But still, you can get the light that came from Krishna, you can get that from the Bhagavatam. Sanatana Goswami says, Kali dvanto dita ditya Shri Krishna parivartita. Krishna has come back again. You think Krishna left 5,000 years ago? Kali dvanto dita ditya Krishna parivartita. Krishna has come again as the Bhagavatam. So just as none of us ask who's dressing the deities today, because what matters is that you're going to see Krishna. Similarly, it doesn't matter who's speaking Bhagavatam as long as they are in the line of Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam's vibration, if it is given as it is, it doesn't matter who the speaker is, one will still get great benefit. The problem when we hear is that we put too much emphasis on the speaker. But even if the best speaker is there, the most realized speaker, if you are not in a position of humility to receive the knowledge, what will you receive? And shall I tell you how much of an extent this goes to? Srila Prabhupada had English disciples who were serving in Mayapur. And every morning the Bhagavatam class would be in Bengali, a language they didn't even understand. And yet he would tell them, sit in the class, it doesn't matter if you don't understand the language, the vibration of Bhagavatam will still purify you. So, the sound vibration is powerful, and we must focus on that. And Bhagavatam class ultimately is not an opportunity to be entertained. It's an opportunity to be purified. And the purification very much is, the ball is in your court.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. I think we can end there. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai. Sutapa Prabhu ki. Sorry for the microphone. I don't know what I did there. I hope I didn't make things worse.